Once you're ready to connect your freebie to your Wix website, I want you to come into the editor and find this section on your web template. So this is the section that we have specifically created to link a freebie or some sort of opt-in form so that you can be collecting client or prospective client email addresses and using that within your marketing and to continue communicating with your community. So what we've set up here is we've just simply asked for the client's first name and their email. You can obviously modify any sort of these details. We left the name as not required and we just made the email address required. If you want to add first name, last name, whatever you choose to do, you can make that happen through this Wix form. So a Wix form is something that is provided by Wix, and you can modify your settings right here on the builder. So when you click on this little piece here, you can either come and click on this paintbrush icon as usual if you want to modify those designs. I recommend designing your form fields through this icon here as opposed to individually this way, just so that you can make sure everything's super, super consistent. But yeah, if you want to see different designs happening on here, definitely come click through here to modify the text, the colors, the shape of the input field, the background color of the input field, the button, everything you can think of, you can modify through this little paintbrush icon here. What I want to show you today, though, is how you can connect this to your Wix Ascend account so that you can auto send an email delivering some sort of free value or whatever it is that your customer is going to be exchanging their contact information for. So start by coming into your form settings. Click on this little settings button here in your tab. I want you to rename this so that you know exactly what this form represents, so that anybody who opts into this form, you know that they opted in because they were hoping for some sort of free value in exchange. So you can kind of temper and choose the way that you want to market yourself to these people. I'm going to change this to say freebie opt-in, and I'm going to put home page, just so that it's super clear where this came from. I know that I'm going to want that information in the future as I'm grouping and organizing my contact list. So that's step one. Step two is if you want notifications from this, you do have to modify your notifications here. The notifications to begin with will always be linked to our company email address because we were the original owners of this site. And you can't add a new notification email address until there is another contributor or owner of the site. So one of the first things you do need to do is come into here, click set notifications, and then you can go ahead and remove us and add yourself. Of course, at this point, you will have an active role on your website. So you can just go ahead and type in your own email address, and that's going to come through here. So again, this is only if you want to receive a notification that somebody has submitted this form. If you don't want to receive any sort of notifications from this form, perhaps it's not, this isn't a contact form. This is just an opt-in form. So you might not care when each individual person puts their information in there. And if that's the case, you can just go ahead, click the X, and just leave this totally blank. And then nobody's going to be notified when this comes through. The next thing you're going to want to do is just work your way through this list here. So you want to modify your submit message, perhaps. Right now, we have it just saying that it shows a success message. Right now, the success message is thank you for submitting. You can put more information in here if you'd like, if you want to very clearly explain to them that they're going to receive something in their inbox. Maybe you want to let them know to double check their spam folder. Things like that. You can always add those details in here. Alternatively, you can also send your users anywhere else. You can either get them to download the file immediately. That's if you're on the pro plan only. You can send a link to an external URL. Maybe your free offer isn't something that is delivered via email. Maybe it's something that sends them elsewhere. So you can make sure that you're redirecting them based on this. Or you can also get them to redirect to a separate site page or even a light box. If you want to put together a more comprehensive lead magnet, perhaps what you can do is link to a page or a pop-up that will explain or upsell another one of your offers that might be directly related to that free value that you're going to be offering. These few tabs here, you don't necessarily need to work on, especially if we're just talking about your freebie. This is something that we can definitely discuss in Wix forms in general. But for here, you don't really need to worry too much about this as we've already got these details set up for you. Next, you can move on to the automation. So this is going to be that follow-up email that everybody's going to receive after submitting this specific form. So if you go to automations, you can create a thank you email. So let's go ahead and click this to start creating that. This is going to bring you into the automations section of your Wix dashboard. So this is something that you can access through the way that I just showed you now, or if you want to access this more quickly in the future, perhaps you want to make an update or a quick change, you can access this from your Wix dashboard. So this is what your Wix dashboard is always going to look like. Obviously the page content right here is going to be a little bit different, but this left sidebar menu is always going to be there whenever you're on your dashboard. So it's a much quicker way to access certain functionalities without having to go through the editor, find your form, and then modify those settings that way. So this is always going to be here under the automations tab on your left sidebar when you're on your Wix dashboard. So just to make this really clear, we're going to modify some of the default inputs that Wix has made, and we're going to just change these up so that they're really, really clearly what you're going to be setting up or delivering to your client. So I'm going to change this. Instead of saying thank visitors who submit a form, I'm going to modify this to say freebie delivery email. If you have multiple freebies, I would definitely recommend inputting some sort of a specific detail in terms of like the name of what you're delivering, anything like that, just to differentiate. Organization is key and one of my favorite things in the back end of my business. So you can see that this email is going to trigger when a form is submitted. This is already set up for you. You don't have to worry about this part. What we do want to do is choose a selected form because we don't want this to happen for every single form that somebody fills out on your site, okay? So we're gonna say form submitted, we're gonna say specific forms, and then from here, we're gonna find that one that we've named so nicely, the freebie opt-in on our homepage. So there's no room for misinterpretation there. We know exactly which form we're going to be connecting this email to. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one, and then I'm going to go ahead and click apply. Next, we're going to move on to the action. So this is the trigger, and this is the actual action that's going to be happening. So the action that we've selected is to send an email. That one's easy. What we can do is come in here. I want you to edit your sender details. So right now you can just get a little bit more specific about how you want to be showing up to your people. Input your business name, input your reply to email, go ahead and click save. And then here is where we can actually modify that email template that's going to be getting sent out to your people when they opt in for your free value. And this is what your default template is going to look like. You've got a ton of options for changing this up, but I do want to make it really clear this is not going to have the same functionality as the Wix editor. This is an HTML builder. It's a little bit more block and a little bit less customizable in terms of all the options that you might have. So just do keep that in mind as you're working through this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a logo here. So click the little pencil icon, click change image, and you can go ahead and grab that from your media library on your website, or you can upload your logo image at that time. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this text a little bit. I want to just make it really, really clear what this email is all about. So my fictitious free guide is going to be an amazing breakfast guide. And so my intro text is going to be hyping my people up and just letting them know they can get ready for those amazing breakfasts. I'm going to just take a look and see what the other fonts are looking like because I don't love this one. I want to pick something that's as similar as possible to what the fonts are on my website. I'm going to come down to this text box here. I'm just going to modify the wording here a little bit. Just putting in some simple body text here. Thanks so much for your interest in our breakfast book. Click the link below to grab your copy. You can make this so much more in depth. This is ultimately going to be completely up to you what you want to put here. This is going to be one of your first pieces of connection with a prospective client or one of your website users. You know, obviously at this point, they've consumed quite a bit of your web copy, but this might be the very first time they're actually actively interacting with your brand. So if you want to take this as an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself, to share a little bit about your offerings, to just, you know, let them know that they've been welcomed into your community, whatever you want to share here, definitely use this as your opportunity because this is going to be a great way for you to communicate with that website user and prospective client. Next, we're going to focus on this button here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to modify the copy. say grab your copy. I'm going to have this link to a document so I can go ahead and just choose that PDF file. Again, I can upload that to my Wix Media Library in that instant, or if it's already there, I can select that from my Wix Media Library. And then I'm going to move on to the design. So again, this is where it gets to be not as descriptive or detailed as the editor, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick a rounded corner. I'm just going to change this color because I'm not a huge fan of the one that's been put in there. I'm going to get rid of the border, and I'm going to update that font choice just so it does match the one that I have selected earlier. Okay, lastly, if you want to be adding in anything else that isn't already here in your template, you can always go and grab those pieces from here, okay? So you can add in, a video, you can add in new buttons, you can add in photos if you want to add in photos. That's just going to be as simple as dragging and dropping it in. Just like this. I'm personally not going to opt for a photo in this one. I want it to look less like an email campaign and a little bit more like just a genuine email to my people, but these are all your options here. And before you click save and publish, just make sure that you've linked your website, that you have updated your social icons to match exactly what you want to be sharing with your clients. Also play around with your background colors and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and click save and publish because I'm happy with the way that my freebie delivery email is looking at this time. I recommend doing a preview and test so you can preview the email that you've just created, and you can send a test email to yourself so that you can see the way it looks when it's formatted in an actual inbox. You can double check all of the links and just make sure everything's been set up totally properly. And then you can go ahead and activate this automation. So once you're all done setting that up, it'll take you to this screen here. You can see that my freebie delivery email automation is set up properly and is currently active, which is really, really great. I want to just remind you that on the Wix Ascend plan, the free plan that comes with your Wix website, you have up to 2 automations that you can set up on the back end before you need to upgrade.